All right, we're going to the trunk. This I had from last build that I did on this car. It's the kill switch. It's not NHRA legal, but I like it. It's cool. Back here, I got the fuel cell. I got the heat exchanger, tank, Davies Craig water pump, my amp, my battery. I got that junction block back there. Some of the things that run direct to battery go to the one side of the junction block, so that if I kill the power, I'm still getting the memory settings for the radio, ECU, and dash, and then everything else gets killed. It's nice if like you're storing the car, you don't have power running to everything else, but I don't know how much I'd really use that. I got my fuse down here. I got a fuse block and 2 fuse boxes and relays. So 2 of those are for one's for the fuel pump and one's for the heat exchanger pump, and then 2 relays for the fuel pump, 1 for the heat exchanger pump. So I'm not using the Hellcrap pump. I already had this fuel tank, I already had the pump, and the Hellcrap pump wouldn't have supported the power I'm looking for on the 85. So I already had this Magna fuel pump set up for my old ProCharge 340 setup I built, and this thing should support like 900, 950 to the wheels on the 85. 2 big air motor filters, so it should be good for now. If I ever need to upgrade, maybe I'll add a second, but for now I think this will be more than enough. And then that thing can run full tilt with, as long as you have a decent amount of fuel in the tank. It doesn't overheat. Usually don't have any problems with that, but I will be driving this car a lot more than I used to, so hopefully it still holds up in the summer heat and everything. For this, it's a 5-gallon trunk tank with the Davies Craig pump. Back to the front of the car, I have a custom heat exchanger. I'll show you really quick. Lance built it for me from R&D Performance Fabrication. He did my one for my 96 Impala too. So it's a big dual pass heat exchanger up front. In my experience, these Davies Craig pumps work really good for trunk tank setups. The added capacity from a trunk tank setup versus like a regular factory Hellcat setup, this makes a huge difference as far as building up heat over a pass. You could also dump ice in there, although I think I gotta either tack a screen in or put something between the pump because there's no screen. I actually, at my Impala, I ran this exact pump, and then I ended up upgrading to a CWA 400 for a little bit better flow, and that runs off pulse width modulation little box I got from Amazon. It flows much better, the CWA 400, but it didn't really make much difference in IAT2s. So I decided not to do it on this car and just reuse the old pump that I took out of the Impala. The Impala needs a little more help with staying cool because I'm really overdriving that little 1.9 LSA blower to try to make 700 wheel in that car. This thing shouldn't be breaking too much of a sweat with just a 10% lower. And if I ever decide to do like a 2.85 upper, I still think it'll be pretty good on E85 with a 5-gallon trunk tank. It's just a bigger blower, and I'm not pushing it as far as I'm pushing that LSA. I guess that's about it for some of the updates. I know there's a few things I'm probably missing. I got to get the actual tires on the car before I start measuring for a drive shaft, because the tires I'm going to be running are about 2 inches taller than these. These are 295 50s, I think, and I'm going to be running 315 60 or 50. I can't remember now. I got them inside. But it's a much bigger tire, and it barely fits, but it does fit. But I'm going to set that up all at ride height before I start measuring for the drive shaft, because we need to figure out the angle, the U-joint angles, and see if I'm going to need to use the Sonax adapter or if I could run a Hellcat style yoke. If there's too much angle, I'm not going to be able to run the yoke. The Hellcat CV joint style, I'll have to run the Sonax, because the U-joint, like a standard U-joint, has a little bit more angle to play with, but I think it'll be okay because my diff height, my trans height are very close, so the angle shouldn't be too steep. I got the Caltrax shocks, Caltrax bars, monoleaf. This is about it. And you know what?